My goal, my sole purpose is to change what it means to be an automotive sales professional, whatever that might mean. Because for far too long, I believe that the automotive sales profession has been represented by that damn badger, the wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
But I have always believed, just based on what I've been taught, that an automotive sales professional can be so much more. You can be an advisor, you can be a trainer, you can be an entertainer. I mean, there's just so many different aspects to it. And anybody else that considers themselves an automotive sales professional, my message to them is just don't limit yourself because there's just so much that you can do without
Mm,
getting on my soapbox about it. So without again, just without talking too much, that's essentially who I am.
yeah.
My
What's up, everybody? Thank you so much in advance for being here. And I'm excited because here we are getting into the second half of 2026. And the last week or two, I really hadn't posted as much because I prioritizing the fam and my daughter. She had a dance comp. She won the national championship back to back. I was the crazy dad walking around playing back to backs, Drake, like a madman. But I'm so thankful to be back and have a conversation with the one and only, as we were just talking before this, the M. Bronner, right? And I'm gonna let him introduce himself, but in all seriousness, the person that we get to listen to and that I'm having a conversation with today, from the very first moment that I've been connected with him, back in the day, it goes back years. I'd love to know what was the first year, but even I think the time that I was at NAMAD at the conference, and I got to see him, and we talked for a little bit then, and his whole team, it was just really cool. And so I think we've always just stayed connected, checked on each other then, because that's what I love about the space now, man. I really, it's like there's so many opportunities that everybody can win, and people always ask, like, man, how are you cool with other consultants, other people that some people might say is a competitor? And it's because, man, we're all in this together. Like we all are here to, there's more than enough, and we all are able to bounce ideas. But I'm not gonna get into it already. M. Bronner, you're here. Introduce yourself to you. Obviously, the Cage community will see all this with inside those walls, but outside to the outside world. If anybody has somehow just been sleeping a little bit, let them know who you are. Give them some game introduction, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, I just want to say thank you for having me on the platform. It's a true honor. Like you said, you and I have known each other for a few years, but I've always, admired the way that you move. You know what I mean? So thank you. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Yeah, of
Guys,
course.
my name is Malik. Going by M. Bronner. I am an automotive activist. Been in the game for about 8 years now. My goal, my sole purpose is to change what it means to be an automotive sales professional, whatever that might mean. Because for far too long, I believe that the automotive sales profession has been represented by that damn badger, the wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
But I have always believed, just based on what I've been taught, that an automotive sales professional can be so much more. You can be an advisor, you can be a trainer, you can be an entertainer. I mean, there's just so many different aspects to it. And anybody else that considers themselves an automotive sales professional, my message to them is just don't limit yourself because there's just so much that you can do without
Mm,
getting on my soapbox about it. So without again, just without talking too much, that's essentially who I am.
yeah. No. So let me go back before that. Then. So typically there's something that happens to all of us that makes us either want to be a coach or either want to help people, whatever that thing is that we call it. But talk to me before you started coaching and being like the kind of sales guru and everything that you do, because I like you. I like what you do from a branding aspect as well, because when I see your videos and I hear your content, it's different. But I always want to know, like, what's the core? Where did all this come from? Like, back us up before you got into the automotive game real quick, but give us a little bit of that allows you to be who you are today, but you learned it from something back in the day. Like for me, I can go back to the paperboy days. I can go back to selling candy in middle school. You know, that was some of the first things I did was like actually selling candy bars that were left over that my mom couldn't fulfill. You know, they would just be stuff that she gave back, and I'd take them. I'm like, can we sell this? She'd be like, go ahead. Ain't nobody gonna buy it. But for you, give us a little bit of that history of what helped you to become who you are today.
Without trying to oversimplify it, I mean, I'm a survivor, and I'm a hustler. So it didn't really matter what I was doing. If you get me in, if I get into a door, I'm able to rise up wherever that might be.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm from Southwest Philly. So I mean, a lot of us have a hustle mentality here, but I was raised by educators, right? So while I may have done a little bit of knucklehead stuff outside, like maybe a few of us did, my number one goal was always to be a professional and have a career.
Mm-hmm.
So I did I did what a lot of kids do. I went to college. I tried to find my way. Things didn't really work out the way that I thought that they would. So, I mean, it wasn't until about 2018 where I kind of stumbled into the automotive space.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I got into the industry. There's a story behind that. But where I guess, where if you want to call it my ambition comes from, for
Mm-hmm.
one, it comes from, growing up without, um, not a sob story, but, I grew up like a lot of us did without things that we need to grow up. And I always put it on myself to try to at least improve the standing of my family and to find a way to, when I have my own family, to make sure that they didn't have to deal with the things that I had to deal with. And something I've always been passionate about is if I, so it's if we, outside and I find let's say I make a move,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not greedy. If I make a move and I feel like there are others that can also make this move and it can help them, I've always been one to help.
Yeah.
Didn't really matter what I would receive. That's just me. And this is why I believe I'm a person that people should want to know because I genuinely want to see people win. Doesn't matter where we are. So fast forward, I find myself in the automotive space. Durran, you talk about it all the time. The opportunities that exist.
Yeah.
I got a chance to work with a vendor. You know who I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
And it was like going to automotive university. I learned so much that it was almost hard to not come back home and just start teaching people about what I was learning. And as I began to teach people, I saw that it was helping them. I saw that it was opening doors for them. I saw light bulbs going off.
Yeah.
So I figured, look, I don't see anybody else in this space doing this on a grand scale. I know where I come from. If the average kid knew what I knew about this game, the story would tell itself. So that's how I became who I became. I was fortunate enough to learn under some gentlemen who
Mm.
were, generous enough to teach me what they knew. I was able to take what they taught me, put my own spin on it, come back home, and then start teaching people myself and start becoming a resource myself.
Yeah.
And you start to see people take what you give them and use it and start to move forward. And for me, that's what I do it for. And I see that there's so much more that can be done. I'm just getting started.
Shoot. I already know that too. Now I'm excited. It's like I can already see, 2, 3, 5 years from now, the stages, the businesses that you can light up, so many things that you're going to be able to do because to your point, everybody's so unique in the gifts that they bring to the game. That's what makes this so cool. And what I like of what you said is like you took what you learned and then you took what you knew and applied it and started helping people. And it's the same thing in my life. But it's funny. I have like 10 different people that all say I made a Durran Cage. You know what I mean? Like there's so many, and the truth of the matter is everybody plays that part. Everybody had a role all the way up from my mom and my dad, you know, anybody that like got me from that, you know, my I think about my basketball coaches and football coaches. Oh my gosh, how much they play a part, right? And so you run into all these different people, and that's really what creates a great individual, allows us to ascend and help people that maybe other people actually wouldn't be able to help, you know, just because of the way that we're able to connect with those. So I love that. So I really want to fast forward into now 2026. We're in the middle, like I said, we're now in the second half. Talk to us about, you know, because a lot of leaders, I would say probably the top people that listen to this show based on the data are there the owners, operators, GMs, and a lot of BDC internet managers, like people that deal a lot on the internet sales, CRM. But I see all that molding together now. The silos are going away so much. So talk to us about your normal day to day, like what you're doing, but then also the problems that you're seeing happening across the automotive industry right now. Like if you think about those top things that's happening, but talk to us about what you're seeing and then, you know, some of the things that you're doing to help solve that stuff, you know.
So we'll start with some of the issues that I'm seeing now. And
Mhm.
these issues that I'm seeing now, they're not new. One of the main issues that I'm seeing is the there's a gap between the consumer and the dealership.
Yeah.
And I think that we all can take a guess at what it is. I have found that it is the consumers don't know and the dealerships do. And it's forced us into a situation where there's very little trust between both parties.
Mhm.
So that I believe, and we can have a separate conversation about that. I think that's our main challenge without overcomplicating it.
Yeah.
So what am what have I done? What am I doing? So I created my own company. I'm still building it. It's called the Keychain, and what we specialize in is talent acquisition. Let's go back to what I
Good.
said about automotive industry and how many opportunities exist. Something that was very, very important for me during this journey was when I really started to, get in the dealerships and really start to make my moves. When I would come back home, I would have conversation with my young boys. That's Philly slang, y'all, for those that don't know. But I would have conversation with some of my young guys, and I would just ask a simple question, like, "Hey,
Mhm.
have you ever considered selling cars?" And the majority of the time, the answer was no. And it struck a nerve because I had never thought to sell cars either. But I've
Mhm.
always had a hustler's mentality. And what I started to realize was, the people who have a lot of success in our industry have this hustler mentality.
Yep.
So I'm seeing a bunch of kids out here that, man, you know, if I taught them what I knew, and I don't know everything, y'all, never claim to. As a matter of fact, I like to say, I know what I know, but I don't know ish. And I know that. However, if the average kid knew what I knew, they could step into a dealership day one ready to make money. So the whole thing with the keychain is talent acquisition. We will go find the talent wherever it is, whether it's on Career Builder or if it's down at the local community center, if it's on the block, doesn't matter. We will go to where the people are. We will prepare them. We will train them. We bring them to your store. Day one, they are making money for the store.
Wow.
Another thing I'm into is I got into the brokering game, even though I think it's a bad word to say now, so I'll say car concierge. That's what
Yeah.
I've learned to call it. But with that, what that's allowed me to do is it's allowed me to simplify the buying process from consumer to dealership. Because what I mentioned before was there was a trust issue. So
Mhm.
me, getting into the car concierge, because when you become a public figure, what ends up happening is people come to you. for, they come to you for questions anyway. Hey Malik, I'm thinking about buying a car. What should I know? Hey
Yeah.
Malik, I'm thinking about buying a car. Where should I go? Well, if I can be the conduit for that, it just simplifies the process. So what being in car concierge has allowed me to do is to educate the buyer, make the entire experience convenient, and still help the dealerships, make money and sell cars. So there's that. And I'm actually outside one of my dealer partners now. If you need me, I'll come to your store. So right now I'm at a store over here on Torresdale and Robbins, working finance, submitting deals to the bank. It's I'm a do it all kind of guy.
Yeah.
So I'm a solutions oriented person. So that's what I've done. I saw there was an issue, and I just kind of went out and made a couple moves, um, to put myself in a position to, use what I've learned and do what I do best to
Mhm.
again bridge that gap between the customers and the dealerships, but still, support our industry and find a way to make it better.
Yeah. Man, that's so good. Like I have so much going through my mind right now. But one of the things that I think that's so dope that you just shared is that you are still in the game and you can feel and see what's going on. And I think that means more than anything because for me, I always felt like that's one of the separators. When if somebody were to say, you know, okay, what do you think makes you different than some of the others? And I said, I can't speak to some of the others, but what I can say is when I talk about what's actually happening in stores, I'm actually feeling it because I'm having the conversations with people, from people that are handling phone calls all the way up to people that are writing the checks at the top. And when you're able to do that, and the fact that you're actually inside of stores and being on both sides, that's why if you notice, you can see across the industry, there's so many. Like I saw with Jonathan Dawson, he was actually at the. We'll talk about the event, coming up soon. But he was out there, and when I saw that he got the store, when he got the dealership, right, and a few other consultants like went back and got stores, and I said I understand 100% why they're doing it. It's because one, it keeps you so grounded, and then two, most of us already have a system. So it's like, why would you not use your own system in your own place or offer it, to your point, as a system, right? But hey, if you need somebody, because we've done that, myself and my team before, where, and this too, when an internet manager or BDC manager, whatever title you want to give them, let them be gone for a whole week to have vacation and not have a system behind them. So I've had plenty of people that are internet managers that have reached out and said, "Hey, I'm gonna be gone for a week. Could you help keep up? Could you look after certain things?" And that's just me being at home in the office. But I have, over like the last 7 or 8 years, there were times that if I knew that somebody was going to be out, I would actually come in to fill in for them as a GM, GSM, or internet manager. So it's I think it's something that especially when I would used to offer that as a service and do that a lot, some people as an owner operator would be like, that's silly for you to do as a business owner. You know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't be doing that. Somebody on your team should be doing that. But what they don't realize, you and I learn so much and we take so much from that because it's what keeps us current and in the game versus, you know what I mean? Like staying away from it and trying to stay above it and not having that experience. And I think the message that I hope connects to a leader today as a GSM owner, maybe you're a BDC manager. If you hadn't been back on the ground to try to sell a car lately, you hadn't walked out on the lot and greeted one, you hadn't taken a real phone up in the last 30 days or so, I think from listening to what M. Dot here just said and myself, I hope that kind of, gets you going again and be like, you know what? I want to get grounded again. I want to see it. I want to feel that rejection. I want to hear a customer tell me no in front of everybody. And I think there's a lot to that. So I'm glad that you shared that. One thing that I do want to add from what you just shared as well is, because it kind of goes with what I said earlier, we're leading up to an event that you've got coming up. And I want you to kind of speak to that. But before you do, the question that I had on my mind that I wrote down in my notes was the first part with staffing, because to me that is probably one of the hottest things that's in a lot of my conversations is turnover, employee turnover. One of the questions I have, just really you and I talking, is when you hire people and they go to a dealership where the leadership is maybe not, for lack of better words, it's just not the best. You know what I mean? Like it's a leader that they're one of them ones that say they didn't got enough. You know, he didn't train them. M. Braner, he trained them already. He set them up here. I shouldn't have to do much with them. And you and I both know that you can have all the best training, consulting, and coaching in the world, but that leader in the store and how they're coaching and developing you affects their development over the next 90 to 120 days, unless they're like one of them right ones that really can be left alone, you know, and they're straight. But how do you deal with that? You know, like when you get somebody and you get them on board, what are some of the things that you do to make sure that those leaders or the team that takes them on is like taking care of that person that you're handing over to them, or that the person that you played a role in?
So something I'm very transparent about with anybody that I'm training is that, the dealership is a place where you can make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's perfect. Don't expect that. You can't expect that. You're gonna go in there with a mentality that less than 2% of people in this store are gonna have.
Hmm.
You're gonna stand out. You're gonna ruffle feathers. You're gonna rub people the wrong way. Maybe even your leadership. You have to expect that.
Yeah.
Because when you walk into a store understanding that you're gonna have to figure things out, it's not gonna be perfect. I think it obviously it prepares you for those kind of situations. I try to, well, not try to. I make sure that I stay in touch with them. If there's any issues that they're having, please let me know.
Yeah.
Of course, you try to speak to. Of course, you try to speak to the leadership. I mean, even beforehand, before we go looking for people, I try to ask certain questions. And me being a consultant for 6, 7 years, I know what questions to ask. I know the signs,
Yeah.
but I try to make sure that listen, I'm bringing you one of my babies.
Yeah.
Okay, if I bring you one of my babies, like it's like if you having somebody watch your kids, you want to make
Yeah.
sure. Look, I want to make sure my kids are fed. I want to make sure that they're going to bed at a good time if they're staying the night. I just want to make sure they're taken care of. So I try my best to make sure that if I bring a person to a dealership, it's a place where they'll be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
If we run into an outlier situation, best I can do is really just try to have a meeting with them, not to reprimand them, because who am I? This is your store.
Yeah.
Most of the time, what they're dealing with or what they're doing, it's not personal. They have pressures that I don't have, and I completely understand that. So I try to lend myself, hey, I mean, is there anything that I can assist with? Like, what can I do to help make this easier for you? Do you
Yeah.
need me to come in and sit with him? Do you need me to talk to him more? Do you need me to, whatever it is, we can go on and on.
Yeah.
And there's no silver bullet for any of these things. But I just believe if you're upfront about what your expectations are with leadership, if you're upfront with your candidates about what they should expect, and you are able to support, be who you say you are, do what you say you're gonna do. My position.
Yeah.
More often than not, more often than not, that person you brought into the dealership, they'll start winning, they'll start performing. And I tell you what, when that kid starts grossing, when that kid starts bringing customers in off TikTok,
Yeah.
Facebook, at some point leadership has to kind of, okay, there's something here. Maybe we should pay a little bit more attention to this person. So
Yeah.
you gotta. So like, the final piece is the person has to perform. When
Yeah.
the person performs, it's an easier conversation with leadership. So I just try to make sure that that person is as prepared as they can be to perform.
Man, that's so good. What I love about this too, man, you get me fired up. It also reminds me of like the one of the issues that we're seeing across this industry, and I'm gonna keep talking about it so hard about this burnout. You know what I mean? Like so many managers and leaders are feeling this burnout. Like, man, they're like Durran, I'm tired, dude. Like, I don't even know if I can keep going because they're wearing so many hats. But you know, one of the hats that they use a lot, especially my GMs and leaders, is what you're talking, what you do, and the way you broke it down, hiring and getting them ready and doing that. The problem is I've got, the stores where they don't want to hire someone that specializes that and use the resources the right way. They do it the whole, and I'm not saying it's wrong, but you know what I'm getting at. You get with a chat GPT or an AI tool, run me an ad, right? And the worst thing about that is the ad is sweet. You know what I mean? You're talking about the best written ad that promises all these things. But then you know where I'm going with this. The opportunities, the applicants come in, the time frame of how those applicants get taken care of, it gets kind of like squirrely because some days you selling a lot of cars. My leaders listen to this, they're laughing because they know it. You got an inbox full of apps when you knew it was important to hire some people, but then you got busy. Now you come back to those people and it's almost like internet customers. You're too late, right? Then you mess around and you do interview them. I've done this as a leader where you forget to even call the interview people back. Or you offer them the job, and after that, once they show up, you give them to, let me not even say a name, because if I say somebody's name and then mess around, be somebody's name, they're going to think I'm talking about them. But you mess around and give it to whoever, and DMC, that's my initial. So you mess around and give it to DMC, and DMC's so busy that you give them to, what do you call it? Shadow DMC. That's what I was looking at. All right, hey, Shadow DMC, he sell 20, 30 a month. That's the hiring process versus what you just laid out and you put as your part of your blueprint. I know that's not even the whole game, right? But I just want to bring that up because I hope somebody hears that too. Not so much to just focusing on promoting you and your services and what you're doing, but as a reminder that there's so many leaders out there that are trying to be experts at too many different things. And right now, I think the hiring process and finding the right talent really does take an expertise. And if you're not the one that really understands that, then you need to do your research and connect with somebody that can. And on the broker piece, I'm gonna tell you, I think one of the things that I'll say before I get into my next question, you mentioned about being a concierge, like either name, whichever. But what I've told salespeople and leaders is if you're not going to get to sell a customer, why wouldn't you tell them that you'd like to be their concierge to help them? And every time I say that, people like give me a bad face. Like, man, I'm not about to help somebody get a car elsewhere. But what they don't realize is if they don't, somebody else will, right? Like you, and I'm mad because you have it as a service, and I'm sitting here thinking about it on my phone for the last decade. You know what I mean? Like there's people that would have gladly offered me, be like, hey man, could you just, you know what I mean? Like, could you just help me and do this for me and I'll take care of you? And so I think it's such a great opportunity because again, you're grounded. And if anybody says, well, hold on, man, how's he doing concierge and then coaching people are hiring? Well, you know what a lot of these other people are doing now? Have you seen that? The people that do these concierge and brokers, what are they now doing? They're on dealership. They're on podcasts now. And dealers are hiring some of these people to speak to their people about negotiating. So now, you get what I'm saying? The person who made a brand off of doing concierge is now coaching dealerships. So that's why I say the opposite can work. Somebody who's been in the game coaching and consulting or hiring or do whatever, you can easily help customers on the other side because again, the silos and the gaps are closing. So I didn't mean to get off on a tangent on that, but man, you getting me pretty fired up in this conversation. But I do want to talk about what's special and what's coming up over at, is it Bellworks? But talk to us about this event that you're going to get a chance to be at in attendance. And I'm super jelly that I will not be there, but can you give us some insights about that?
Sure thing, sure thing. So first and foremost, I need to send a big shout out to the gentleman who's responsible for this conference. His name is Anthony Alagona. Great person, great guy,
I
a lot of experience.
should have sprayed
We
some
have a lot of
water on that
mutual
one.
friends. He's the, yeah. He's the gentleman who started this conference. If I'm correct, this is going to be his fourth one. It's called Behind the Appointment. We're down in we're down at the Bell Works. I do apologize. I forget what part of New Jersey it is, but it's down by like in the Matawan area. For those of y'all down by the water,
Okay.
what's really great about this conference, it's not like, and you would expect me to say this, it's not going to be like your average automotive conference. But before I get into why it's going to be different, let me tell you about what's going to be the same. I'm going to have over 100 people there. I'm going to have dealers there. I'm going to have GMs there. I'm going to have vendors there. Most importantly, and Anthony was very, very solid on this point, he wanted people there that would add value to the room. So anybody that you meet there, we all are going to have the exact same mentality. We are here to better our industry. We're not talking about it, we're being about it.
Yeah.
So if that's not you, do not show up because that's the energy that we're bringing. And the main theme of this is going to be we want to understand our consumers.
Yeah.
We want to understand our consumers. Here's what I believe, Duran. I believe that, and I'm not separating myself from this because I'm part of the industry. I consider myself an industry leader.
Yeah.
I believe as an industry, we have tricked ourselves into believing that the customers actually like us. I believe that we have tricked ourselves into believing that the customers actually like coming to your dealership, spending 4, 5, 6, 7 hours to not buy a car. It's false. It's false. I believe we have tricked ourselves into believing that these surveys, however you go about getting your information, you've allowed it to, you made it, I want to find the right words here. It's made you think that customers enjoy this process. Well, as somebody that's in the streets talking to customers every single day, the customers that you don't call, as a person who's, I sell I sell cars that customers don't even see. I'm selling air. Okay? Let me explain something to you. A customer would rather do that with me, a known commodity in some cases, because there are guys here in the city that are way bigger than me. They would rather go through that than to come there and deal with you. And it's not your fault. We have not focused on this enough. When I go to a 20 group, I feel like we might be talking about some of the wrong things. To double back to the conference, what Anthony has done is he has a panel of consumers, people who have purchased cars. They're going to be there. And we're going to ask them, hey, how do you guys feel about this whole car buying thing? I know since, back when my man Henry Ford, started the first Ford dealership, built the first car. Well, he wasn't the first to build it, but we ain't going to get there. We're going to go into that. But, ever since, back. See, I don't want to look up C.R. Patterson and Sons, y'all. That's a deep cut. But listen, since back in the day, this is how you have always had to buy a car. This has been the process.
Yeah.
Before internet, I'm told this thing was a war zone. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Only now are we dealing with the informed buyers and things like that. And some of y'all can't handle it. But hey, listen, what are your thoughts on this whole car buying experience? The last time you were in a dealership, explain to us some of the things that happened. Okay, if this happened, what are some things that you liked about our process? Here's the important question. What are some things that need to, this is not a suggestion, that need to be improved? Because only in our industry, I mean, there's probably a few others, but only in our industry does a person have to go through a middleman like us
Yep.
to buy something, and not for long. So before things change, and they will, let's get a better sense for what our consumers want so that they want to come into our dealerships. So we don't have to come up with these creative word tracks and hide cost and I don't want to give away too many secrets
Right.
so that we can meet the consumers on an even playing field so that they are comfortable coming into our stores and buying our vehicles and giving them the best experience possible. And the reason why that is important is because, yeah, I could bring a customer into my store. I could bury him in a car. We got the deal. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're never coming back. They're never coming back for one of two reasons. Either they didn't like the experience, or they literally have to get buried in that car. They'll never get out of it.
Yep.
When the inverse of that is if I bring the buyer in and I give them a great experience, I take care of them, I give them a good deal. It's a business. The
Yeah.
dealership has to make money. We understand that. But now that customer is going to come back in 2 to 3 years. They're going to bring them. They're going to bring their family. They're going to bring their friends. I'm going to make so much more money over time on a buyer that I actually take care of than one I was just focused on grossing on. So when you come to the conference, that's going to be our main focus is figuring out how we can maximize our relationships with the consumer.
Well, I'm trying to look at flight cost. I'm trying to figure something out. I'm trying to hold on. Let me say Memphis. Hold on, what they say Memphis to. Where's this at?
It's going to
Bellworth?
be in. It's at the Bellworks. Yeah, it's at. Just look up the Bellworks in New Jersey.
Hold on, man, because I mean we.
I wish I could remember what
Oh
city
my
it is.
gosh. Okay, so it says flight time, fly in to EWR. What's EWR? Newark Liberty
I
International
think that's
Airport.
Newark. Yeah.
Yeah, and then hold on. What's the drive time if I drive? 'Cause, like I just did a drive to Nevada and back. It's only 16 hours. Nevada was 2023. So I mean 16. My goodness. But no. In all seriousness, here's what's so cool with what you said that I'm tripping on, and I've had a hard time. I was like, hold on, pay attention, Durran, pay attention. But what got me was you said real customers going to be there talking. And I was thinking about most of the conferences that are happening. Who normally do they make sure is talking at these things? Like what's always the highlight? Do you know? The last couple of years, who's like the
Experts.
highlight?
Well, they'll either have experts up there, or sometimes they'll get these disruptors. That
You
was the
know?
word they used to use for them. The disruptors. Let's have them come up and speak. But if I'm missing it, bro, let me know.
You hit it. Normally it's whoever's popular right now in social. It's dealers who are the same dealers and GMs that have been on the front covers and been the main people that have been speaking for years. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I don't want the hate mail. So don't anybody be like, oh, he talking about. No. What I'm saying is, what I love about what you shared is you got real ones. You got customers that are coming in to speak and to give game and to share. So now it's not an M dot. It's not a Cage. It's not even an Anthony that's having to push every. You know what I mean? It's the customer that's sharing real insights and giving game back as to here's what I really care about. But the other thing though that you said that is the thing that I've always been, I'm not going to say I've been worried about. It's just the facts. The people that we need to worry about the most are the ones that are buying from the Carvanas and some of the other big name companies and that are having a good experience and they're having that kind of thing that you said where they don't have to go through a lot of hoops. It's easy. Because I said this 3 years ago and 6 years ago. I said the worst thing that can happen is the customers that have a good experience are never going to come back to any other store. Because now they're going to have that, I call it the Amazon effect, where the people don't even think about going to shop no more. They just think it's what's most convenient. They don't even care where it come from. They're just like, I'm going to go back to this platform. And if Carvana and any other stores or large dealer groups keep creating that, the stores that don't, oh my goodness. So this is really the time because 3 to 4 years from now, you know what I mean? Come 2030, you can't be sitting around talking about whether or not you're going to give a customer a price over the phone. You won't be able to sit around and talk about, I just want appointments that show up. I'm not going to give an appraisal over the phone. You can't. You won't be able to do that because it will be too late. So perfect timing, perfect event. If something can change in my schedule to where I can get up there, I'm gonna be there. But I should, yeah, it's gonna be fun. And there's some other events. I mean, we're gonna get together. But closing thoughts, ideas, suggestions, anything else, anything that we didn't cover, because now you just got me so excited. And I know if people need more information, I think that would be important. Give them that information. But I'd like to have some of your closing thoughts of what you have, and then we'll get into how people can actually connect with you or get into the event. But give us some of your closing thoughts, anything that you want to leave us with, because this was good, man. I appreciate you. I got pages of notes.
I appreciate you having me once again. My
Yeah.
closing thoughts kind of put me on the spot here, but I just want people to understand, anybody watching, I call myself an automotive activist because I demand change. When I came into this industry in 2018 and I started learning, I saw things that just flat out needed to change. And while I could go to a 20 group, a conference, and speak on these things, and I do plan on doing that, I'm actually out here, in I keep calling it the streets, but I'm out here talking with people, trying to make things happen, trying to make things change.
Yeah.
So I believe that us, the next generation coming up, we all need to be focused on and find something you're passionate about, but find something that you can change. If there's something that you want to see change it. Like right now, Duran, outside of the things that we've spoken about, something that I would really like to see change, and I did write an article on this not too long ago, is I believe that, we have been told that the number one thing that plagues our industry is attrition.
Hmm.
Uh, or we talk about, we spoke about the customer experience. We talk about, maybe dealerships not making enough money. These are things that come up at these 20 groups. But when I'm making an argument is that I think the number one thing that plagues our industry, that plaguing your dealership, is mental health.
Yeah.
When I was a consultant, something I was very blessed to do is I was able to travel around the country. And and I know as salespeople, we love to engage in hyperbole. This is not hyperbole. I have worked or trained and or consulted in a dealership in every single time zone. I'm gonna say it again. I have had the privilege to work, train, or consult in a dealership in every single time zone. I've been to RV stores, I've been to power sports stores, you name it, I've been there. I've talked to your people, I've worked with your people. The issue is not what you think it is. The issue is up here. And when you start to understand that if this isn't if this isn't right, nothing else is going to work.
Yeah.
And as much as we talk about investing in this, we invest in the technology. We're, we're willing to throw money at a lot of different things, but we won't throw it at what I believe is the most important thing. Let's throw it at the mental health of your people, because I tell you, a mentally healthy person will do wonders for you. Okay, I think it starts with us just having the conversation and understanding that it's important. That will lead us to more research and education. Once we learn more, we'll be able to do something about it. But I would love to see dedicated mental health specialists in dealerships. I would love to see more dealer groups, because some do this, right? I would love to see more dealer groups maybe add this to the benefits package, but
Yeah.
really start to invest in mental health, because I've seen from the average BDC rep to literally this, from all levels.
Yeah.
It's important and it needs to be addressed.
Man, what? Shoot. Right? We share a good friend who talks about that, man. That's that cape. Shout out to Big Bro Damon. But I'm so glad that you said that, because that's what keeps this show real. Because you know what? Here we are, closing thoughts. You could have said anything in the world. You could have been trying to, I don't know, you could have touched on a lot of things. We didn't touch on AI, we didn't talk about technology, any of that stuff. It was so real, and it was perfect timing. And I think it was what somebody really needed to hear. But I'm thankful that you shared that message, and you picked the perfect thing to close it with. So I appreciate that. So the last thing is, how do we connect with you? Right. And then if somebody's like, after hearing what you just said, I'm coming. One, because I want to meet you, but I also want to hear these customers and be in that environment, man. It's going to be so electric. So let them know how they connect with you and how they can get there.
So yeah, guys, follow up is my life. My follow up is strong as death. So I am on every platform there is. You reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Reddit, M.Bronner. That's my name on all platforms. Reach out to me on YouTube. Just give me a call. Reach out to me, message me, text. But just understand, once you do that, I'm going to call you. I'm going to reach out to you until we have a conversation. Okay, you want to send me a carry picture? That's fine too. Whatever way, just reach out to me, and I will. This is who I am. If there's a way that I can assist you with whatever it is, I will do it.
I love it. Well, man, I'm excited. Y'all heard him. Send him a message, send him a DM, look him up. I would definitely tell you to follow because I've shared a lot of his content as well. I put it on my stories and reposted because there really is some not just educational information, but there's some stuff that really will get you thinking too. And it'll hit you right at the right time. So I love it. Man, until next time, we're going to keep these conversations going because I know people are going to want to hear from you again. So you already know me and you are locked in tight. So until that next time, be well. I look forward to hearing about the event, seeing about it. And if I can get out there, great. Fired up for Anthony, the whole team, everybody that's speaking out there and attending. Safe travels as well. And man, thank you again for sharing your time, your energy, and your love, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me, sir. It's an honor.
Yeah, man. Till next time, be well. Have fun in there. Peace.